Today I'm just going to show a process of how I go through and make some game art. Now this achievement was actually made by somebody in my Discord who posted it, and they asked for some help on how to improve the design. And to do that I made them a little sample Photoshop file and sent it to them, and they were nice enough to let me demonstrate on a video the process I went through. So as you can see, this is what I first got. And when I was looking at it, the first thing I do in these kind of situations is try to identify the main things that I want to change. Now, the text obviously needs to be centered, but I would also like to bring the text underneath together. Over here there's a 0, and this is actually the number of times that you achieve the achievement. So I want to put that in a prominent place because I think that's pretty important. I think that this tagline of kill 3 enemies is probably less important than the name, so I want to try to get some differentiation between the two of them. And this logo in the middle is the emblem that you get for each of the achievements, and they've got a whole range of these for their game. So the first thing I wanted to do was have a look at it and see if it was square. And when I put my cursor over it, I noticed it was just slightly off square. There was like 20 pixels one way, and I feel like if you're gonna make something that's just off square, you're better off making it square because people like symmetry. So I'm just gonna make a new 512 by 512, and that's gonna be the size of our pattern. Over on this one here, I have one of the achievement medallions that the user sent me in order to be able to make this. So I'm just going to copy this, put it on here. Now I'm going to add a new layer. This is just going to be my background color. Now I wanted to try to keep the same sort of background color to be able to match so that it's a similar style. So I went with this color. And I just filled up my background layer. I might just make this a bit bigger, taking up more of our screen. Even though this is 300%, so just a little bit pixelated, because it's 3 times the size. I think the 512 by 512 though will be perfect for the game. It's from a mobile game, so you wouldn't really want it to be any bigger than that anyway, because it's not going to take up the whole of your screen. The next thing I want to do is get the text in and sort of line the elements up. So I want this achievement to perhaps take about 2/3 of the screen. So I wanted to kind of sit on my top 2/3. I'm kind of happy with that position at the moment. I'm going to grab the text tool. I'm going to make the text white. I'm going to type Death Bringer. Text isn't white, so let's highlight it, make it white. You want it nice and centered. Now I'm going to pick a font. I don't have the font the original person used, but I found this Copperplate Gothic Bold. Don't know if it's a default font or one that I added at some point in time, but I thought that it worked quite well. I might just make that text just a little bit bigger. And so that's going to be my text. Now I'm going to add another text element underneath. Also going to put that in the center. Now for this, when you have a tagline underneath, I find that they look much better if you just make the text a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to knock that down to 38. And I'm also going to change from the Gothic bold to the light. Now you can see the difference that makes, that they really, you can really see the difference between your main line and your tagline. I feel like this looks really good. I'm actually going to pull both of my text layers. Just move them down a bit. I'm trying to get the same gap here as I have up here. I'm just going to pull down the text name a little bit further. I feel like they're too far apart. I feel like you want them to look like they're meant to be together. Starting to think that looks quite good. And I'm going to rename this to the text tagline. Okay, the next thing is, when I looked at this initial one, it was hard to see the elements from the background. And I feel like the simplest way to fix this is just to add a very simple frame. So, I'm just going to add another layer. I'm going to call it frame. I'm just going to fill this whole layer. I'm going to turn the fill off so you can't see it. I'm going to add an effect, and I'm going to add a stroke. I've already got the color that I liked, which is let's go yeah, so I like this one. It's nice and bright, and it really will make it stand out. And now you can change the color of that stroke if you don't like it, just by going to the stroke. Now I'm going to lock this layer so that I don't accidentally select. The next thing I'm going to do is add a text for the number of times the achievement's made. And I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger because I feel like it's one of the most important elements. And I'm going to go with the bold version of the font. I'm just going to place this in the corner. Make sure you've got plenty of padding on both sides, and the padding is the same on both sides. And now I'm going to try and cut this in some way. I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to draw a little box over the top of it. Do something like that. And I'm going to try and cut the corner off. Using the Alt key and the Shift key. So with the Alt, it gives me negative select, and the Shift key gives me 45 degrees. I'm just going to cut that corner off. Now I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to copy the layer style from frame and paste it here. And now we have a little frame for that. And I'm going to go and click on my background layer, and one layer above, I'm going to make a notch color. Select around here. I'm just going to fill this layer. I'm going to use a blue up here because I thought there was a lot of blue in here. So I'm going to pick a blue color. And fill that in. So already, I feel like this is a big improvement over this. So one of the things with this background and the gradient that they've used, I feel like the dark area isn't where your eye is drawn, it's drawn to the edge where the light parts are. And I can see that they want to have something a little bit fancy, not just a flat colour behind it. So what I'm going to try and do is make it so that the light's colour comes out from the centre of where the logo is. And rather than it just being a standard gradient, I'm going to play with some images and try and maybe get some smoke tendrils and some clouds coming out of there. So I'm going to do this underneath the achievement layer but above the coloured layers. I'm going to make a folder. I'm just going to call it background highlights. And add 2 layers to it. So I went and found these royalty-free images. It's really easy. Basically any clouds will do. I'm just going to go Control-T on this. Lay around. There's like this kind of puff of clouds down here that I quite like, so I want to try and get that sort of here over the top. Let's hide that layer. I'm just going to call it clouds. And next up, I just found these smoke tendrils. Again, royalty-free image. There's plenty of these kinds of things out there. I'm just going to make it a little smaller. I think over there looks quite good with the tendrils coming out. That. So the next thing I want to do is take the color out of this image. I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. I'm just going to pull the saturation out of it. And I'm going to set it to Overlay. And even now you can see that's looking much better. Now let's do the same with the clouds. Let's take the saturation out. And let's overlay that. And you can see I'm already getting this kind of nice, interesting effect. But what I wanted was it to kind of feel like it's coming out of the award and not covering the whole area. So I'm going to add a mask. I'm going to grab the gradient tool. I'm just going to use the circular gradient. And just play with it, drawing out from the center until I get one that I'm kind of happy with. Okay, I quite like that. You can see that the tendrils are much stronger around the medallion and not so big far away. Now to make this really pop off the top, I'm just going to add a little bit of glow to it. I'm going to add outer glow. Going to pick a blue, maybe make it a much lighter blue, so take some of the saturation out of it. Quite happy with the settings I've got at the moment, which is size 18 and opacity 56%, and hit OK on that. And so that's the end result, and then you take it into Unity and you'd be able to put your own text in. You change the icon for each of them. But one more thing before I finish this tutorial And then after showing him this and he really liked it, said, well, what about if I haven't achieved the achievement? So a simple thing I thought to do would be, I've selected outside this achievement, I'm just going to invert it. I'm going to make a layer above it. I'm just going to make this layer black. I'm just going to drop back the opacity a little bit so that you can just see the award. And then I will turn the glow off on this. And again, I might add slight outer glow. For this one, I probably drop the opacity right back. Something like that. And then that could be an example of something where you haven't yet got the achievement. That's my final result. And I hope some people found this helpful. And if you did, please like, subscribe or comment. Feel free to come and join me in the Discord or follow me on any social media. And I hope you enjoy whatever you're creating.